Hello, everyone, and welcome to the first episode of West Side Stories. I am very excited to get this started. We're finally doing it. This is a little thing we're running out of the High News as a new extra bit of journalism, I guess. And we've been planning it for a while, but we kept having setbacks. But finally, we are recording the first ever episode of West Side Stories. And on the show, we'll be discussing, news and things around the school and, I don't know, whatever else you guys might want to bring to the attention of our wonderful podcast. I am joined here today by my co-hosts, Max Stone and Grayson Profits. And, I don't think I mentioned my name. I am Jake Bernstein, and I am the leader of the Belleville West podcast, I guess you could say. West Side Stories is what we're calling it. And today, we'll be discussing a little bit of, I guess, folklore about our school, I guess. Like a little folk tale.
Belleville West mythology?
Yeah, our very own school mythology. And that, of course, is the fourth floor.
Dun dun.
And I don't know. I tried to figure out where the story came about. Like, who came up with it and why. And I think it's just something that, back in 2002 or 2003, when the first couple classes were at this school, and the older kids decided they wanted to trick some of the freshmen into believing some sort of crap story about a fourth floor that has the swimming pool, which is the usual joke, I guess, about the fourth floor. So they go around and try and convince as many people as possible. And I asked around about it, and I actually asked Dr. Hensey about it, and what's so funny?
It's just the fact that you asked Dr. Hensey
I asked Dr. Hensey about the fourth floor, a story used to convince gullible freshmen about a lie. But I asked him about it, and the closest thing I could figure out, the closest thing the school actually has to a fourth floor is a small crawl space above the booth in the PAC.
Awesome.
That's it. That's the closest thing we have to a fourth floor. So not very amazing.
Yeah,
There's no janitor's closet somewhere in the corner that actually has a secret stairwell that goes up to some little area
Be awesome if it would.
of the school.
I'd be up there all the time.
That would be cool if it was, but
I mean, there is a $5 entry fee to get to the pool.
that's right. What do you think the swim team practices?
Yeah, VIP only.
No, but come on, I mean the school has a swim team.
We also have a bowling team.
Maybe there's a bowling alley up there too.
Oh, I wonder what's up there.
Is on the fourth floor. But, so yeah, and it also surprised me that there are actually, when I ask people about it, especially students, most of them will say oh yeah, where the swimming pool is, because I mean it's a story that most people have heard their freshman year.
Right.
I think it's not something that you talk about a lot. But it's just you kind of know it's there. It's we breathe air. We know it. We know of it. We know it exists, but we don't really make a big deal out of it.
Yeah, I guess I could see what you mean there. It's everyone knows about it, but it's not something everyone talks about or jokes about openly or in heavy detail.
Mm-hmm. And see, it was weird because I asked a bunch of freshmen and they had no idea what I was talking about. But anything above a freshman, everyone knew what I was talking about.
Yeah, exactly. So it's just kind of maybe it's, I don't know. I don't want to say it's dying out because people still know about it. But it's just not as big. But, Grayson, you told me a story about how you convinced a freshman.
Oh yeah, this is a good one. Involved with theater, and a couple people, we all decided to go to Wendy's just down the road. Anyways, we're talking, and the subject comes up on the fourth floor, and just a little freshman's doing her homework at the table. She looks up, she goes, "There's a fourth floor? No, there's only 3 floors." So I look at her, I was like, "No, we have a swim team. Where do you think they practice?" She goes, "They practice at the YMCA, don't they?" I was like, "No, we have a pool on the 4th floor." She goes, "That's the roof." I was like, "Well, yeah, they fill it with rainwater." And it was at that moment that this girl just instantly believed every word that I said. And then I told her that we had a bowling alley up there that was covered by a shed so the rain wouldn't affect it. And she just was so gullible that she started trying to figure out how to get up to the 4th floor. And we didn't tell her until she was walking out the door of Wendy's that we were messing with her. We just kept her on the hook the entire time.
That's great.
Like the elevators. Just happens to go up there.
You have to have a special key
Right.
to get up. That is hilarious.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
I have not been able to do that, unfortunately. I can't replicate that effect. Maybe if I found the right person. But as of yet, that's amazing that you can convince. I guess, well, that's what the story is for, isn't it? Just to convince gullible freshmen that somewhere in the school there is a 4th floor.
You know what I'm doing next year.
But here's the thing, all right? I also asked some other teachers other than Dr. Hensey about it, and it surprised me that a lot of people haven't heard the story. Like, I asked a couple teachers, and most of them just said, "I have no idea what you're talking about. What are you bringing up? There's no 4th floor. What do you mean?" I mean, Hensey is the only one who gave me anything about like a 4th floor, and he just said the crawl space. I don't think he really knew the story either.
I don't know that teachers necessarily know the stories.
Yeah.
Right.
I would just say that it's a thing that students go around,
Mhm.
but then again, because it's just such a small little joke played on the freshmen, that nobody really goes and asks their teachers about it or anything. And I think also people tell them towards the end of their stories every time, without a doubt, that okay, we're just messing with you kind of
Right.
thing. Like,
You don't
they won't let them go home
Mhm.
thinking about it.
Well, maybe some people did, but
That'd be
that would have
mean.
been really funny. I want to hear that story. No, but I guess like seniors tell freshmen, when freshmen become seniors, they tell the next freshman there's a 4th floor, and I guess that's how the story is kept alive. Something interesting to think about, I guess, how little stories like that develop.
Right. I mean, you get all the little stories and things that some of them get published, such as like the one with the boy crying for the wolf. There's no wolf 3 times. That's the same kind of story. It's like, oh, this happened in real life, kind of thing. But,
Eventually, people are going to stop believing it, maybe.
right.
Well, like, I have experience with this. Like, at my old schools, they'd always just tell us, like, oh, the basement's like a nuclear bunker, or, like, we have something in the walls they can crawl through and get to secret rooms. And this is no different, but to me it's a lot more interesting because there's some actual fake evidence behind it, like, oh, that's where we have the pool, or that's where we have the bowling alley. I mean,
Yeah, there are actually some. It sounds just
Right.
real enough
It
that you
sounds
can convince
believable.
people.
right. It's like,
But
and then people always poke holes in it,
Yeah.
but the 1% that believes it's like, I gotcha.
But in reality, it's just this one little room above the booth. And like I've actually, I think I know what Dr. Hensey is talking about, like this little room. And I've been there because I work up in the booth with the theater a lot. And in the back of the booth, there's that little closet. And you go into the closet, and if you grab like a ladder or a stool or something, you can lift yourself up. And it's just this like empty little space. Like there should be a ceiling here, but there's not. So it's just this empty little crawl space room.
And see, I've never even been back behind the stage or anything like that, so I have no idea what you're talking about.
Well, this
But-
is like up in the, you know how like in the theater there's the booth where all the lights and the
Yeah.
sound come from?
It's back there.
Yeah, it's back there. Like up above that, there's just this empty space.
Well, that's cool.
And it's not even a storage room, really. There's no
It's just
lights
there.
or anything. It's just this empty space.
It's like,
And,
yeah.
you know, maybe you could think about, like, if you really stretch it, maybe some people decided that was the 4th floor, and they started convincing freshmen that, oh, there's a 4th floor up behind the theater. Ooh, scary.
I don't know. I feel like that could almost create a story of its own
Right.
to mess with freshmen, more specifically the ones that join the theater.
Well, it's like the game of telephone, and you tell someone something, and then they either get an idea of something and they change it, or it just keeps going along until it's just so messed up that it's something this awesome.
That's right. The story changes, I guess. I guess that's how that works. Like stories that are passed down tend to be changed a lot. I mean, this isn't something that's ever been written down before.
Right.
Oh no.
This is probably the first time it's ever been even recorded. So, something to think about, I guess. But hey, that's all the time we have. Thanks for joining me today, gentlemen. It's been great fun. This is the first episode of West Side Stories. We'll be putting another one out soon. I don't know the exact date because
Soon
I don't
enough.
keep track of these things. But hey, stay tuned and we'll see what's coming next time. Thanks for listening. Goodbye.